All right. Hi there, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm hopeful that everybody can hear me. Just so everybody knows, you are watching on about a 30-second delay from what we are broadcasting out. So if there is a sound issue or anything, I will hear it, but I'll hear it a little bit late, and then I'll go try and fix it. My name is Carrie. I am City Market's Assistant Outreach and Education Manager. I'm the one who's been sending you all of the emails. Really excited to have you join us for our raspberry rhubarb pie tonight. I will just do a few logistic things here at the beginning, and then I'll turn things over to Gary, our fabulous instructor. You are watching live, but again, at that little bit of a delay. So if you put a question into the box and then I see it later and then it's another delay before we answer it, just don't worry. I promise we're going to get to your questions. If you're joining us a little bit late, down near the bottom play pause button, there's a little button that says live. You want to make sure that's in red. That makes sure that you're live watching along with us rather than starting from the very beginning. There is a Q&A box. I'll go back behind the scenes and put a comment into that so you can see where that pops up on your screen and where you can answer or submit questions. If it's something that I can answer on my end, I will try to type it out and send you an answer back. And if it's something Gary can answer, I will ask it out loud to Gary and he will give you his answer. So I think that's it from me. I'll be, like I said, behind the scenes if there's questions, but I think I'll turn things over to Gary. Take it away, Gary.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Stuard, the Pie Guy, and I'm here to celebrate rhubarb. Wonderful rhubarb. In Dallas, where I'm from, my husband Fred and I, you can get rhubarb frozen, if not all year, early in the spring. But here, it doesn't come until late May. But now it's coming out, and I've been making strawberry rhubarb cake, almond rhubarb cake, and now I'll be making our today's pie, which is ruby ras pie, rhubarb raspberry pie. And I got this recipe from the 4 and 20 Blackbirds pie book. And if y'all were looking at my last class, which was in April, I did a balsamic strawberry pie, and that is from here. And this is, well, they said ruby ras square pie, but I don't have a square pie pan, so I'll just, it's not a square, but it still is excellent. So Emily Elson and Melissa Elson, sisters, I believe, are the creators of this cookbook. And there's so many recipes in here I would love to try. So, but that's that. And so I'm going to show you how to make that. Now, that pie I made earlier today. So this is really a straightforward pie, but I will do the lattice work on it. And that's a little bit, involved, but it's really quite simple. So anyway, first things first is making the crust. And so I'm going to get 2 cups of flour, all sifted cup, all-purpose flour, and I love King Arthur flour. Even when we lived down in Texas, this is what I got.
They have a really great store down in Norwich if you're ever able to visit, if you're watching from around here. And with that, if people want to comment where they're watching from in the Q&A box, it's kind of fun to
Yeah, we have people, we've had on previous classes, we've had people from California, Washington, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, all sorts of places, and and also Canada. Yay, Canada! So let us know where you're watching from. So we got that, and 3 teaspoons of sugar.
Did you do the 1/2 cup or just 2 cups to start?
2.5 cups.
And also, if people are watching, we'd love to know your questions and comments, even not about this pie. So if it's just like pie in general questions or things that you always try to do when you bake and always mess up, Gary's happy to answer other baking questions as well. So have those questions coming.
Yes.
And hopefully the sound quality is good for everybody. I'm listening along and I'm not hearing any issues. So, but if you are, let me know and I can try to fix things. Do have
Okay.
22 people logged on.
How many?
22.
Wow, excellent. Well, this is a wonderful pie recipe for the summer. Normally raspberries, I think they're more late summer.
Late summer, early fall. Yep.
Yeah, but last year I did the strawberry rhubarb pie, so I'm not going to do that again, or at least for a while. But raspberries, you can get them nearly all year long, and it's a great summer pie.
We've got someone from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. We've got some folks right here in Burlington and Essex.
Yay! All right. Anyone further afield?
So far, that's the only 3 who have chimed in, but hopefully we do.
Okay.
We had someone from Peru once. I think that was our furthest.
Oh my
I
God.
don't even know what the time difference was, but I think that was our furthest afield.
Wow, I feel like an international star. Well, and now that has been sifted, and now it's time for the butterfat. So I've made enough flour for a 9-inch double crust pie. Okay. And so I'm just going to be doing like this.
Portland, Oregon. There we go.
Yay, Portland.
Oh, we have a question. Someone says, when do you bake the pie shell before adding fillings?
This pie does not need to be baked. The pie shell does not need to be baked before the filling is added to it.
Okay.
I have made pie dough ahead for this class that's in the refrigerator, keeping cold. I roll out the bottom half for the pie shell pan, and then I rolled out the dough for the lattice work.
Yeah, so a lot of pies, it's going to depend on the filling, right? This filling needs to bake along with the crust because we need to make the rhubarb soft. But a lot of pies, if it's like a chilled
custard pie,
yeah, you got to bake it first.
a custard pie, you would do that. But this won't. We don't need to do that.
Nikki's asking, is your butter frozen?
It was in the refrigerator. It's kind of a little bit softer than I would normally have it, but it's.
Could you do it frozen, or was that not?
That would be a little bit. I think that would be kind of hard. I would keep it, use it straight from the refrigerator.
Great.
And that's hard enough.
And then her follow-up question, I always struggle with my crust coming out tough and overworked. How do I add just enough water without getting too tough? And I think
we will get to that. We will get to now. Some recipes use vinegar, and I have used that at least once with the recipes. I think I used it for the balsam mixed strawberry, and that worked fine. But this is from the Pie Bible that I use and have used for years. And I used butter and shortening. Butter for flavor, but the shortening for flaky crust. But the thing I think one thing that helps with the consistency of your dough after it's being baked, I take it that's what you're referring to about it being tough, is that everything should be ice cold. Your butter fat, you don't want it melting on you, either the butter or the shortening. So the shortening is I worked it over and chopped it up because it was
Hard.
solid. It was in that refrigerator a long time. So, but the if I'm in a kitchen that is not air conditioned, this is air conditioned, but if I'm in a kitchen that's not air conditioned, like our kitchen, Fred, in Dallas, there was an AC unit just in the dining room, just outside of the kitchen. But I tell you, that kitchen got hot. And summertime is like people don't want to do any baking during the summertime. And so, but I would keep a metal bowl that I would mix make my dough in, put it in the freezer. So that would be cold. I have my flour cold. I keep usually I keep my flour in the freezer of our refrigerator, and our sugar too. And so all of that kind of helps prevent the butterfat and the shortening from melting. So you don't want that. You want to have like little pea-sized little balls of butterfat and shortening. It should look like meal or, a little large grain.
We have someone asking, what brand of butter do you like to use? Do you have a brand?
I use Cabot.
Nice. Yeah.
Or, if you can afford European butter, I mean,
fancy.
That's very good. That's very good. But Cabot it's great butter. My mom, her pies were excellent, and she used oleo, which I don't think they make anymore, but they were good. And she then graduated to using Crisco and butter flavored Crisco, which I don't recommend. But, but I use non-hydrogenated shortening. I use Spectre, and they make a non-hydrogenated shortening, which I think is good. So, yeah, this butter is probably a little bit warm, but we will work with it. We will work with it.
The shortening will balance it out because it's so cold.
Yes, it may refreeze once it gets in contact with the shortening. And so you can use a fork or you can use your hand. I kind of like doing it by hand. I like feeling the butter fat being squished by my fingers. I also have a feel of, well, okay, I feel big lumps. And I'm going to work it until I feel little lumps, little pea-sized lumps. So, you can probably see some of that. And again, I say, making pie shouldn't be stress producing. It should be a joy. And, I've mentioned it before. I love the feel of flour in my hand as I'm working the butterfat in it. It's just a wonderful feeling. And I'm creating something. We're creating something. And I think that's very important. We're all creative people, one way or another. And what a wonderful way to be creative is to be creative with food. Now, I'm done with the butterfat. And so I'm going to put in half a cup of the shortening. And you see, I've cut that up ahead of time.
Yeah, it's not like Crisco where you can scoop it out.
Yeah, no,
this stuff's solid.
Yeah, we don't want that.
And that is a result of the non-hydrogenatedness of it, or at least one of the results, is it is less of that kind of smooth, creamy texture and a little
Yes,
harder.
we, you know, there's a place and there's a time and place for that, but not
this
now.
way.
No,
Not Gary's baking.
no.
We have someone asking, could you make this pie crust with whole wheat flour or any other flours?
Yeah, I think though, I've seen recipes where they have some amount of whole wheat, but then some of regular flour. So it's a mixture because the texture of just whole wheat just by itself would be a little bit hard to work with.
Yeah.
Um,
Absorbs a lot more water. You'd have to
yes, and all that.
way more water.
So, but you know, add maybe half a cup, or you know, if you're adventurous, a cup to your 2.5 of regular flour.
Yeah, so figure out what ratio of that
Yeah,
2.5 total cups you'd want
and
to try.
recipes, they'll tell you.
Mhm.
They'll let you know. Okay. So I'm going to work that. And I need a cup of ice water.
Yeah, I got you. So I lied. You will see me on camera one more time because I'm going to duck behind Gary into the closet. Pretend I'm not here.
She's here.
I'm not here.
But she's wonderful.
I'm not here.
So as you see, I'm working the shortening into this. I'm using now a fork and maybe break up the shortening, non-hydrogenated shortening, break it up a little bit. And I think at some point when they're kind of broken a little bit down further, I will go ahead and use my hands. And again, I'm not going to totally reduce the shortening into the dough mix, just enough so I can see, have little sized shortening fat. And you can already see some, thank you, already forming right there. So that's the thing. Keep your, ideally speaking, if your house is not well protected AC wise, air condition wise, then get a metal bowl because the cold will keep better in metal. But I get a steel bowl, stainless steel bowl, put in a refrigerator for, you know, some hours, or put it in the freezer and then have your flour in the refrigerator or the freezer, like I do, and your sugar. And then the butter needs to be cold and the shortening needs to be cold. But I wouldn't put the butter and the shortening in the freezer. Just in the refrigerator is cold enough. And then use iced water.
We have someone asking, so instead of using both butter and shortening, can I only use one of them?
Yes, you can. You can. Again, I and other cooks like having a combo of butter and sugar. I mean, butter and shortening. Again, butter has that flavor. The shortening helps with flakiness, and you want a flavorful but flaky crust.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
a shorteningless or a butterless crust, I think, would taste not so great, but be really flaky. So you really get the benefits.
And some pies, like blackberry pies, I've seen like Martha Stewart, she has a shortening crust. And I've seen there are certain pie, well, maybe more tart, that they use butter sucre.
Oh.
So it's butter and sugar, a little more sugar than usual, or for a pie crust. So a tart, you can get, butter.
So maybe
mostly.
try both and see if you notice enough
Right.
difference in your baking.
Or, it's just depending on the recipe that you use. Because, for tart recipes, quite often they'll have, not shortening, but butter and more sugar. And some of them would even have an egg yolk in it. So it depends on what you're making. Now, I think y'all can see little pearls or peas of shortening in that. Not too big. And I'm going to add a cup.
That's probably more than you need. I got you.
Yeah, but I will add a little at a time. Don't pour the whole thing in, because then you'll just have goop.
Yeah, so you'll see in the recipe that Gary sent, it specifically says 5 to 6 tablespoons or more if needed. So you might only need the 5, you might need 7, but like you said, don't pour it all in. Start with
No, you will have a mess on your hand. So I'm working it in just like so. Work it in a little at a time. You want your dough soft enough that you can make a ball with it. So you can make a nice ball that will bring all the pieces of the dough mixture together. But you don't want it where it's just sticking all over your hands.
And Gary and I have talked about this in previous classes, that it can change based on the temperature and the weather.
Yes.
So you might need less on a really humid day or more on a dry day.
Yes.
Don't assume that the number will be the same every time you bake.
Yeah, that is, I remember my mother made and she was a great pie maker. She made pecan pie in Colorado, up in the mountains. And she tried to do it exactly the recipe as it, she has already had done it all her life, and she found out that oops, it's different at higher altitudes, So take that in mind.
Mimi says whole wheat pastry flour, maybe with extra wheat gluten. I've had good success with that.
Good.
Yeah, pastry flour versus regular whole wheat flour might be a good way to kind of ease into using whole wheat, because pastry flour is a lot lighter.
Yeah, that is good. Thank you.
Thanks, Mimi. It's great to know.
Share your cooking experiences. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm happy to say on May 22nd, I celebrated my 65th birthday. And I thank you for my sound effects. But as a cook, I'm always learning. And I like to say, if we're not learning, we're dead. And I don't want to be dead. And and when I try a new recipe, well, okay, I'm going to have to learn something new. And so that's fine. So if you have things in your cooking experience with baking, then share them. Now, it's starting to stick.
Yeah, you can kind of see that moment. It went from you loosely stirring to it's a ball.
Yeah. There's still some loose flour, but I think that now that I'm working it with my hands, I'm seeing them clumping together, and that's what I want to see. It's not, as you can see, it's not swimming. So, and I don't want that. And so I'm willing to leave some of the clumps or some of the mixture not maybe thoroughly moistened, but by working it this way, most of the dough is dough. And so by working it, I can pick up that pieces of the flour mixture that hasn't gotten wet yet, worked in. And so, you know, I don't wind up with a sticky mess by putting too much water. Okay. Perfect. And after a while, your hands are really not that, you know, covered with goop, which is a nice thing. So this is coming together nicely. And you want your dough, pie dough, to look like this. And I'm going to I'll just I'll set out a little bit for the pie dough and some for the lattice work.
Now, is it a 50-50 split, or would you say?
No, I close, but I would still give more to the bottom half.
So 60-40 maybe.
Yeah, because I want to have enough overhang on that. Let's see.
Have a scale if you really eyeball it.
Yeah, I'm trying to eyeball it. Okay, that's probably good enough right there. So, and you don't want to do it, you know, work it too much, but just enough. Okay, this can, thank you. Wrap it up.
I learned the hard way that pie crust will absorb other flavors in your fridge very quickly. So
yes.
Wrap it.
So unless you have fruit and that only fruit in your refrigerator, not onions or garlic or other heavily scented food, yes, you need to wrap it. Okay, that we have done.
So this is why we did not build this as a bake along, as much as we would like to. That needs to now sit in the fridge. So we're not going to make you stare at Gary and I for half an hour while that chills. So we had some time and pre-rolled some dough, like TV magic. You're watching a cooking show on Food Network.
So now we will make the filling. Now I already have pie dough that's chilling in the refrigerator, the bottom part of the pie, and then the top lattice work. So this is 2.5 cups of rhubarb that Doug, our trusty friend, helped chop yesterday.
Couldn't do it without you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. Well, he wanted a piece of pie, so
put the work
and I said, you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
So, and this called for the filling 2 cups of raspberries. So this is about maybe a little more than 2 cups, but it works.
But he asked if you could do this with frozen rhubarb.
Yes. Yeah, you could. Just know that it may be a little more wet.
Yeah. Rhubarb gets real squishy after you.
Yeah. So we
if
got
anything,
that.
I would do it during fresh rhubarb season and use frozen raspberries probably rather
than well, frozen, yes.
Right.
I mean, I've used frozen, well, they were solid frozen rhubarb when I made my strawberry rhubarb cake. And so I let the rhubarb defrost, and there was a lot of liquid. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot, and it went out. It made a great cake. So,
But I feel like a
but
pie
there
would
was a lot of fluid, and
Yeah.
you have to get rid of it. So I will now put, let's see, almost a cup of sugar. And if you put a cup of sugar, who knows? Who's going to know? So I'll get close to a cup. Like that.
Can you move the jug of water back down? Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
There we go. It's such a vibrant color. It's so
Yes.
already.
I love it. I love it. It's a wonderful spring, summery fruit pie. I love it. And 2/3 packed. It said light brown, but I use dark brown.
Better flavor.
Okay. I like it just how it looks. I like how it tastes. And so, you can use light brown. I like using dark brown sugar. But it says, pack it in.
Have you tried any other combinations? Like we all know classic strawberry rhubarb, and now this is kind of switching it up. Have you done any other fruits?
Yeah, I've done blackberry rhubarb. And that was just, well, Fred, you liked it, right? Yeah.
We got an oh yeah.
I think that rhubarb, in situations like this, rhubarb provides body.
Mm-hmm.
It's tart, and I like the flavor of rhubarb. I like making just rhubarb pie with sugar and nutmeg, and that's just wonderful. But rhubarb plus strawberries plus raspberries and blackberries provide a body for those fruit that tend to be watery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we made balsamic strawberry pie, and that was good.
It was watery.
Yeah, it was watery. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was good watery, but it was watery. So yeah, with rhubarb, I think, and also rhubarb blueberry. I think I've seen recipes for that. So I think that would be pretty good.
I was thinking rhubarb. I can't talk. Rhubarb apricot could be good
Oh yeah.
because they're both a little bit tart, so you wouldn't make it super sweet.
Yeah. I haven't seen that, but that sounds very good. I haven't done very much with apricots, but I have seen some recipes with apricots, and that just looks really good. And for thickening agent, I put 3
Tablespoons.
tablespoons. Tablespoons.
We got this question for the strawberry pie too, but can you replace that with cornstarch if you don't have arrowroot?
Yeah, you can use cornstarch.
Do you have a reason why you it just
The recipe called for
Yeah.
it. So I know you can use flour for a thickening agent. So I put about 3 tablespoons in. And the thing about flour is, unless you sift it in, it can clump.
Yeah, it gets gummy.
And I think arrowroot doesn't do that much. So that's a good thing. That speaks well for it. Okay.
I think it's also if people are trying to avoid corn products like for allergies.
Yes.
A good substitute.
Yeah. So okay, now is half a teaspoon cinnamon. Teaspoon, half a teaspoon, half a teaspoon. Okay, let's use this.
Anybody have any other questions at this point? Happy to continue asking them of Gary or answering them as I can.
Well, I don't mind putting a little bit more spices. I tend to find that recipes may sell their spices short, so I like to bump it up a bit. Okay, that is 2.
We're doing, this is the cardamom.
Cardamom. And
Great.
I love
I'll say
cardamom.
this is one of my favorites, so we can go heavy on the cardamom.
Yeah.
We can make this pie how
Yeah, I love cardamom, and I wish, I had more recipes with cardamom.
I got this really cool thing. It's basically vanilla extract, but cardamom, so it's liquid cardamom extract. I put it in my coffee every morning.
Oh, that sounds good.
Then you don't have the little gritty, like dried spice bits.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I use maple syrup in mine. And also I love chai tea with a little bit of maple syrup.
Yeah.
So, and okay, so I'm going to mix this. And, I don't want, I mean, you can use a metal spoon, but I'm using this because I don't want to tear up my raspberries. I want them as much as possible be whole. So I'm using a rubber spatula, and a wooden spatula is a little bit thick and it's almost like clubbing your fruit to death. So, with apples, that would be a different story. But and with rhubarb, it would be, if this was just rhubarb, then I wouldn't mind using a wooden spatula. But since this has raspberry, no, I'm not going to do that. And now I will put some bitters in, a dash of Angostura. As you can see, I'm a little bit generous.
And now what does the Angostura do for this recipe?
I think it just provides a little extra taste to it.
But you can totally leave it out if you're avoiding alcohol.
Yeah. But once it cooks, it's, the alcohol cooks out.
Right.
So, and since we want to avoid extra runny pies, we're going to add 1 egg.
Cool.
To this.
This is, I think, the first pie that you've made with me that has in the filling. That's cool.
Yeah. And so I will whisk it. I use a regular fork. That's good enough. And I will whisk it until the egg, the yolk, and the whites are thoroughly mixed. And
the other thing we'd love is if people do make this recipe or any of Gary's other recipes at a later date, we'd love to see photos and hear how it went.
Yeah. And also any, just let us know how you liked it, how you didn't like it. So, I try these pies first, and I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah. You're only teaching things that you like. You wouldn't make.
Yeah, I would not. Even if I see something that I like, then I will make it first. and say, well, I really do like it, or I think that needs more sugar, or that needs more spices. So I'm just that way. So, but let us know how you like this and how your family liked it. Okay? Because we are a community. We are a community. So if I can have my dough for the pie dough.
A little bit of TV magic. Ooh, it
Ooh.
rolled itself out and put it in a pie.
Yes. So here we are. And I will put this in.
Is this a deep dish or a regular height pie?
I think it may be a little, it's not a full-fledged deep dish. It's 9.5 inches. 9.5 inches. That is good. And I can tell that the angostura in that. And now it's time to bring out the other flour or the other dough for the lattice work.
And since we did roll these off camera, how thick would you say you rolled them when you were looking at how to fill your pie plate?
Well, I wasn't really concerned about the thickness as so much as the length, because I will lay out the lattice work and then fold over the crust and then crimp the crust, and then that will be fine. So, and I want, I put them in the refrigerator because I want them not easily broken apart. I want them easily manageable. Like so. Hope you have a good view of this.
Just cutting nice long strips.
Yes.
Whole length of that piece.
And any pieces of dough that are left, you can make pie dough cookies. I made some. Did you have? Yes. Yes. Very good. And Fred had two. and I did. And I had two. So there we go.
What?
Oh,
there'll be one from this, I'm sure.
Yes,
we'll leave one.
I'm sure there will be one. Okay, so
I'm gonna have pie, so it's all right.
So there's different ways to do it, but I do it like so. Now I chose to do lattice work with this because the rhubarb and, well, mostly the raspberries. I didn't want the raspberries to wind up with a soup. I want it thick enough. So I thought, well, lattice work will make sure that the filling gets exposed to the heat, and that will help cut down the risk of getting a watery pie.
And it shows it off better too. You see that?
Yes, it is. There is something to be said. Well, doing stuff like this is kind of showing off. right?
You want people to see your hard work.
Yeah. Saying, how did you do that? I said, oh, you know. So I go like that. And then I go like this. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. Nothing is perfect.
Over, under, over, under.
Yes,
Over,
just like that. And there you go. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes. Okay. So like so. And, you know, it looks kind of daunting, but really it's not. It really isn't. And people are just like, oh my God, how did you do that? I say, that's magic.
Magic.
It's magic. I practice black magic. Like so. Voila. And now we just turn over the crust like so. We may need to tear off a little bit, and that's fine.
More cookies.
That's more cookies to make. You see what I'm doing?
Hiding all the edges.
Yeah. So people think, oh my God, you did it so beautifully, and they don't know. And, you know, all the better for that. What they don't know won't hurt them. Unless, of course, you don't follow the recipe. So I'm going to be, now I'll be doing the crimping. You know, and that may take, you know, going around a little bit. In here, I had some extra crust, and I said, oh, well, that looks kind of skimpy uh, on the crust, so I'll just add a little bit more dough. And now I can start crimping. And there's many ways to crimp. You can use the fork for the that's the end of the knife. I mean, the end of the fork where the tongs are. Or you can use your finger like so. I think my mother used both of them in her time as a pie maker. Fingers very easy.
I've seen someone use a spoon too and make little like seashell scallops on
Yeah.
the edge, which was kind of cool.
Just whatever you want, just whatever you want to do. And that's it. And, you know, I may straighten out just a little, just a little. And now I made a mixture of 1 egg, a teaspoon of water and just a tiny little a pinch of salt for the glaze. And the important thing is keeping it out of the rhubarb straw, the raspberry rhubarb mixture, so we don't get that rhubarb raspberry mixture on the crust, on the lattice work, because the lattice work, I mean, once it gets on the lattice work, it will burn. Okay. So, but you know, just add on the glaze like so. And I use this glaze. I had extra left over. So if you want to make 2 pies at one time, you'll have plenty of glaze to do so. Yeah, I hate feeling like I'm wasting stuff. And this will give the pie a beautiful glow, a sheen. And I'll just do it on the edge, like so. There. This can be in the refrigerator for 10 to 15 minutes. And then I would stick it in the oven.
Do you think we're good to stick ours in the oven since the dough came out of the fridge, or does it need to go back in the fridge?
Oh, we can go ahead and put it
Okay.
in.
Do you want to do the sugar on top or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just figured that dough's pretty chilled.
Yeah, I think this is pretty chilled.
I can put it in the fridge. I was gonna say the oven for you. We have the oven. It's at 425, and you'll notice in the instructions we're gonna do 425 for a little bit, and then turn it down. So I will
To 375.
Yep.
Is it 3? Yeah,
375. Yeah.
I dropped it to 3. Well, our oven is slightly. It's hot.
Yeah.
So
you dropped yours a
I
little bit.
do 370. So yeah, if your oven tends to burn, know your oven. Know your oven.
Yeah, and I know for our oven, the one here has a little bit of a hot spot, so I'm probably gonna set a timer for like 12 minutes, turn it another 12 minutes, and then drop the oven temp because I don't want the back of the pie to get burnt while the front of the pie isn't done yet.
So it says Demura sugar. I couldn't find any Demura sugar. Oops. I think that's fine.
Great.
Okay. And this pie is ready to go.
Me again.
It's nice to have an assistant. Well, she's more than an assistant.
I'll be your assistant. That's fine.
Okay. So we also have vanilla ice cream, which I figured would go nicely with this. And this is what the pie looks like. I put brown sugar on this one on the top.
All right, set the timer for 12 minutes. I'll go rotate it. So we'll do about a total of 20 to 25 minutes at the higher temp. And then I'm going to knock it back to like 370, 375. And we'll do another 30 to 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And platters.
Have someone saying a comment. I started adding a little Silan, Silan, to my egg wash glaze to get a lovely deep golden crust. And I think I Googled it, and Silan is like a date syrup used in a lot of Middle Eastern. So if that's correct, or if I got it wrong, let me know. But and for those of you who are asking, yes, Teams went down for like a split second, but it should have bumped you all back in. And if not, you can try refreshing and getting it back. So yes,
Okay,
sorry.
so I think, yes, here we are. You know, the test is in the pudding.
Have our lovely photographer, Fred, getting the shot of the slice. No, you're fine. I'm giving color commentary for folks.
Okay. And
so like usual, we're going to end a little bit before 7 today. You can see we're going to end closer to 6:30. So now's a good chance while Gary is serving up his delicious creation to put any last minute questions in the chat, comments. So I'll leave it open for a few minutes after we're done, just in case people are frantically typing, but now's your chance. Oh, there we go. We got to get a good photo.
Okay.
Perfect. Love it. Fred gets the first bowl.
Thank you.
You guys go ahead and try it because nobody wants to hear me eating into a microphone.
Well, this looks great, Gary.
Doug says it looks great. Crowd goes wild. It smells good in here, like even already.
Tastes great too.
It tastes great too. Awesome.
all right. Yeah. The crust is a little sticky on the.
You don't need to go to dinner, Gary.
Pie for dinner.
I do, even with this, but
So yeah,
There
as
you go,
Gary's
Fred.
serving, we hope that you try this recipe. We'd love to see photos of your results. I'm sure gonna try it. Well, thank you. And yeah, I will send a survey link out tomorrow. Would love to know people's thoughts on the class and ideas for other live streams that you'd like to see from us. It's really helpful to have feedback. But
you know, I like getting feedback,
mhm.
and I know we both like getting feedback, and so let us know if you like this, or meh, or you don't like it, or you like the dessert, you tried it and it was really good. So let us hear from you, because we're doing it for y'all.
Yeah.
And if y'all are happy, then I'm happy. It's sort of like when mother's happy, everyone's happy. When she's not happy, no one's happy. So let us know. And they
Oh, Fred,
oh,
we're getting more crowd feedback.
oh, that's great.
This is the worst part of the class though, because everyone's always like, I wish I was there. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't send you pie through the internet.
I wish y'all could be here.
Well, we wish you could. That's one quick plug for City Market classes is that we're doing some live streams. We're also back to a lot of in-person programming. So if you're in the area, check out our class calendar and come join us for a class. We'd love to have you. But yeah, I think I'm not seeing any questions coming in. So hopefully everybody got their questions answered during the course of the class. I'm going to go keep an eye on the pie that's in the oven. And I am so glad that you were able to join us tonight. The class was recorded and we'll put it up on our website at a later date. So if you needed to catch anything to watch again, it'll be up. And thank you. Gary, any final comments before we sign off and say goodnight?
Make this pie. It is so good. And that is, you know, when you create something beautiful and it tastes fabulous. And this recipe is kick-ass. Pardon my phrase. You did it. And you bring it to a table, people will be worshiping you. So, but thank y'all so much for joining us. And also, let us hear from you and ask questions. And also, is there a pie out there that you would like us to do? I was thinking about doing key lime pie in August, So, but if there's something else you want, let us hear from you. So thank you so much. This is Gary Stuard, the pie guy. Signing off and happy baking.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.